You know the feeling, right? You type a question into a chat window and boom. Seconds later, a perfect answer pops up. It could be a poem, a piece of code, maybe a solution to a really complex problem. It just feels so seamless, almost like magic. Clean, simple, and it feels like it costs absolutely nothing at all. But here's the thing. Behind that super clean interface, there is this vast, incredibly complex machine humming away. And that machine, well, it has a price, a really big one. And it's a cost that we don't just measure in dollars, but in planetary resources and, believe it or not, in human effort. So let's peel back the curtain and really uncover the hidden bill for this AI revolution we're all living through. All right, first up, let's talk about the money, the compute bill. This is the raw, brute force financial power it takes to even create one of these AI models. And we're talking about an investment so massive, it's honestly kind of hard to wrap your head around.
See, here's the key thing to understand. We don't program an AI like a normal app. We have to train it. And what does that mean? Well, imagine feeding it literal mountains of data while thousands of specialized computer chips, these things called GPUs, are running nonstop for weeks, sometimes even months. It's less like writing careful lines of code and way more like a brute force process of digital evolution.
So, what does a process like that actually cost? For just a single state-of-the-art model, think something like GPT-4, the estimates for just one training run are over $100 million. Let that sink in. And that's not for salaries, not for research. That is just the bill for renting the raw computing power.
To really put that number into perspective, creating one of these big AI models is in the same financial ballpark as building a brand new hospital or producing a massive Hollywood blockbuster movie. Yeah, we are talking about these monumental, society-level investments, all for a single piece of software. But, that billion-dollar price tag? That's really only the beginning. All of that computation has a very real, physical consequence. And that leads us to the second major cost, a planet-sized environmental footprint. Just think about it for a second. You've got thousands of these super high-performance GPUs packed together into massive data centers, and they're all running at full tilt, 24/7, for months on end. They consume an unbelievable amount of electricity, and they generate a colossal amount of heat. So much heat, in fact, that they need constant, powerful air conditioning just to keep from, well, literally melting down.
So okay, how much energy are we really talking about? Well, one study estimated that a single AI training run can consume around 130 gigawatt hours. Now, that's a big number that doesn't mean much, so let me put it this way. That's enough electricity to power over 17,000 US homes for an entire year. All of that for just one training set.
But the energy bill is only part of the story. To cool down these overheated data centers, especially if they're in warmer climates, companies often have to rely on what's called evaporative cooling. And this process uses a truly shocking amount of a resource we all take for granted, fresh water. And yeah, the numbers here are just as staggering. For a single training run, we are talking about roughly 700,000 liters of fresh water. That is enough to fill an entire Olympic-sized swimming pool. This is the hidden, liquid cost of that instant answer you get on your screen.
So we've covered the money and the environmental costs, but there's a third, even deeper layer to all this, one that is almost entirely invisible to us. And this is the human cost. This is about the vast, global workforce that actually makes AI possible in the first place.
Look, AI models are incredibly powerful, no doubt, but they are not born smart. They learn from data that has been meticulously cleaned, sorted, and labeled by people. This whole process is called data annotation, and it is the tedious, painstaking, but absolutely essential groundwork for every single AI breakthrough we see.
This quote from an anonymous worker, man, it just gets right to the heart of it. There's a global army of what researchers call ghost workers who spend their entire days identifying objects and photos, transcribing audio, and flagging harmful content, all to create those clean data sets that AI needs to learn. They are literally the human intelligence behind the artificial intelligence.
And the reality for so many of these workers who are often in developing nations is pretty grim. The pay can be incredibly low. We're talking just a few dollars an hour. The work is precarious. It's contract-based, so there are no benefits, no job security, and the tasks themselves are just mind-numbingly repetitive. But what's really crucial here is that some of this work involves filtering out the absolute worst of the internet, toxic, violent content, which, as you can imagine, takes a significant psychological toll on the people who have to look at it all day. So, when you actually put it all together, you take the financial cost, the environmental cost, and the human cost. a much clearer and frankly much more expensive picture of AI starts to emerge.
So here's the bottom line. The seamless, magical experience we get on our screens is actually built on a foundation of billion-dollar hardware investments, the energy consumption of a small city, and the often unrecognized, low-paid labor of a global workforce. This is the complete, real balance sheet of modern AI.
Now look, there's no doubt that AI holds incredible promise. It could solve some of our world's biggest challenges. But as we race forward into this new era, it is absolutely essential that we understand the full cost of this progress. The question isn't really whether AI is valuable. The real question is, are we building it in a way that's actually sustainable and equitable for everyone? Are we, as a society, really willing to pay its true price?